Hello, welcome to Walpole United WFC. Hello, welcome to Walpole United with me, John Foster, MUFC. The show, we've got some happy faces here. 3 straight wins, 3 clean sheets, 9 goals in 3 games. Everything's quite rosy at the moment. Hello to everybody in the comments. Natalie, how you doing, mate?
I'm good, John. It's good to be winning games.
Yeah, and not only winning games, we've actually
convincingly
games as well.
Yeah.
Convincingly. Matt, how you doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah, not bad, pal. Same as Nat, really. I think after that sort of Leicester County Cup game, it was a little bit deflating. And it's mad to think that, you know, a couple of weeks later, we're sat here and we're happier. So, yeah, I know we're going to get into that, but it's looking a lot better than what it did. So I just hope now we can kick on in the new year and sort of carry it on.
100%, yeah. We can get into that, like maybe any differences why all of a sudden we're looking in control and scoring goals and not conceding goals. We'll get into that. Kathryn, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Hi guys, yeah, good, thank you.
Awesome, thank you for joining us. Anybody who doesn't know who Kathryn is, Kathryn, join us, shout out your socials, who you write for, all this kind of stuff.
Oh no, here we go. Yeah, so women's football correspondent for the Daily Mail. You can follow me on Twitter, Kathryn Batte. Spelled as if it's pronounced Bat. People kind of, I answer to anything, so I'm sure you'll be able to find it.
Yeah, scrolling along the bottom. So yeah, you can find her, and she's tweeted on all of our socials. Yeah, let's get straight into it then. That's so 3 wins out of 3. We'll start talking about the Villa game first. It looked a good atmosphere inside the stadium. Nat, I'll talk about that first because I saw a few of the videos on the Walpole United Twitter account. We had a few friends up there who we're close to anyway, who are Villa fans, and they still support United as well. They like to see United do well. Talk us through that one.
Well, obviously, we just started in control, but I can't even remember who started it. I think it was Smithy, Zellum to Bo Risa. Bo Risa passed it off 2-0, 1-0, bang. And I think myself, I made a beeline to the end of the row because I could see the 4 Villa boys who'd come over, who we'd seen, me and Matt had seen the day before. And I think I said to them, we're going to win tomorrow. And they were like, no. And this is Villa. And I said, no, we'll win. And they went, yeah, okay, you might win. And I said, yeah, we'll win 6-0. And it kept going up and up. And I was like, 2-0 in your cup final, 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. And I was just like literally probably half the game I was just looking at them in the opposite stand. But those are the best games for me, when you are just giving it to, like, there's times when I've been in Old Trafford and I've missed the goal because I'm too busy looking at the away fans and giving them a load of pelters, and next minute we scored. And I just think you when you're that confident in your team, you can just do that. And I think from 1-0 I just knew, right, bang, we scored early now, then 2-0 the penalty, and I just thought this is going to be a big one, and it's one of the biggest ones we've ever seen, really. You know, in the WSL, I don't think, other than 6-1 last year, probably this time last year, we beat Bristol 6-1. We obviously weren't there, but this is the biggest, other than Championship, that we as fans have been there and seen. And just, you know, I talked to Kathryn about our development team, and they systematically, in my opinion, destroyed Chelsea's development team. But this game was literally us systematically destroying Villa. I know the Villa boys are upset and they're going to fall out with me. And boy, it is what it is. I said we needed to improve our goal difference. You know, that's what you need. We need a higher goal difference, and it's added to that. We're in positive now. We're you know, a lot of things can come down to goal difference. We're seeing it in the men's side. You know, even last year we were talking about 1 point, this and that. But if it had gone to a goal difference, Arsenal's goal difference was far superior. So we need to up that, definitely. And against Villa, unfortunately, that was the team to get a bit of a hammering. And, you know, I want to see more of that. I want to see us hammering teams. We should be hammering, not in a horrible way, but it's sort of what we expect. And I'm excited for next year. This is the level now. I don't want to see it drop. We've been at that level. You know, we're talking about momentum in other podcasts, you know, going away. But I hope they just keep that energy Because if we look, I don't want it to be slow starting. We sort of slow started it back. We need to be on it because this is the business end now. It's all right, everyone's celebrating Spurs being third, but the business end is where you end up in May. So I think we're on track for it. Champions League, I think we deserve to be there.
Look, we'll get into that, Matt. I just want to kind of hear your thoughts just on that, the banter of the fans first, because obviously you put that video on the WhatsApp group, and we saw that Mark Stanyard called out. Was it at half time or was that start of half time? Was it on the little video? Just talk us through that, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, there's only 3 Villa fans because I'm not counting Mark as a Villa fan. He was kind of sat on the fence. But the ones that me and Nat saw at Coventry were in the south stand. Obviously, Mark, I think, was on the left of us. And he was getting Alan Keegan over and was shouting out. And Nat said something like, "Oh, can we shout out Mark Stanyard? He's a big United." Something was winding him up anyway. Winding him up, saying he's really enjoying this performance because it was 2-0 at half time. And then I said, "Oh, and tell him happy 50th birthday as well." Mark, he's nowhere near 50. So Alan shouted it out, bless him. We recorded it and it was a good laugh. And then I think that set the tone then because Alan got the goal scorers wrong after that and made a few errors. So I think we got his head on that and got his head a little bit. But yeah, no, listen, it was a good performance, like Nat's touched on, and it's one of them. Like I say, I mean, credit to the Villa fans that actually came. First and foremost, I think fair play. They travelled, they've seen that. They won't be happy, as Nat said, but listen, their season isn't defined against the likes of us and Chelsea, Arsenal, whoever else, City. So yeah, we've got to, like I said before, we've just got to crack on in the new year. But it was just pleasing, and I don't want to go too much into it because obviously, we've got topics on that. But good atmosphere. A little bit disappointing on the attendance, but I can understand that with everything going on. 1,001, so that's less than half actually than what we normally get. It's usually about 2,223. But listen, it's Christmas, it's COVID, there's all sorts going on. So yeah, we'll make allowances. But overall, good afternoon. Enjoyed it.
Kathryn, as a bit of a neutral, was this one of the first times that in recent weeks that you saw this game and you thought Man United was firm favourites? Like the 2 games before Man United played Villa, we won 2-0, 2-0. It looked like we had a bit of momentum there. Was you quite comfortable thinking that we was going to go into this game and get the win, or did you kind of think, oh, well, they've won 2 now, is this the game where they might slip up again?
No, I think having seen, obviously, you convincingly beat Everton in the Conti Cup game as well, I think you could tell confidence was high. And I think Villa have struggled last few weeks or so they were probably quite low. And I just felt like this was a game Man United could really go and dominate if they wanted to. And one where once they got sort of 2-0, 3-0 up, they could go on and score more. And as I say, I mean, watching the highlights probably should have been more than 5 as well. So, really impressive performance. And I think, as I say, it was one that I was expecting United to win, and obviously it's pleasing to see kind of so many goals going as well.
This is the first time I've really spoke to you properly, because obviously I couldn't speak last time that you was on the show because that was the start of my laryngitis, so I really couldn't speak that much. But I'm just interested to hear what your thoughts are of our season, because it has been up and down. Do you think maybe like Man United fans have kind of like spoke about it a little bit too much? Is this just an ordinary season really? But because we're emotionally attached, we see it as like, we're up here one day, down here the next day. Is that kind of like how you see it in the media, or have you just seen it as just an average season and there's nothing really to shout about either way?
I think it's been quite steady, to be honest. I think taking that Chelsea game out of the equation, where don't want to say it was a fluke, but some of the errors that were made in that game, obviously, don't happen at most weeks. So if you take that out of the occasion, I think it's been pretty steady. You look at obviously before this run of games that you guys have won, we had sort of 3 draws in a row. You look at the Tottenham game, the Everton game, they could quite easily have been 3 points if he'd not conceded those goals that have come from errors. And I think that's probably something that Mark was probably quite frustrated about, because especially Tottenham right at the end, that should probably have been 3 points. Everton as well probably was, should have been 3 points if it hadn't been that error for the goal as well. So you could have been sat here in quite a different position. Could have been sat here third going into Christmas. So I think the good thing for United is I think Mark's vision has been quite clear. I think once we've not kind of been sat here thinking, where's he going? What's he trying to do? I think you can quite see the direction that he wants to take the team in. And obviously some of the points that have been dropped have just been down to errors, and it's about cutting them out. And obviously the last few weeks he's been able to do that. So hopefully going into the new year, it kind of continues on that trend.
Yeah, I just want to, I suppose, touch on that, Kathryn, because I think for me those two games, the Everton and the not Brighton, because we won against Brighton, Spurs games, yeah, it was errors, but I think especially the Spurs games, we had 2 or 3 chances. I mean, to be honest, we could have won it at the end even. You know, I think Leah put a ball in, and I think Russo had a shot, and there was definitely Hansen had a shot in the second half when we were 1-0, 2-0. I think, yeah, the game's over. But especially that Everton one where we did concede. And I think even towards the end of the Spurs, I know a lot of our fans are feeling like it's inevitable. We're inviting that pressure on. Even Everton, we're inviting that pressure on. I know in the Everton game, we only had 2 shots on target. It was the one Tooney goal, and then it was after I think they scored. I think Tooney had a shot that was saved. It was a great save from McIver. But you know, I think he says, "Oh, this individual error, that individual error." An individual error is, you know, most teams make them one in a game, per se. Maybe not all teams make them, but, you know, it can happen. And I think now we're actually so far ahead that we're creating chances, you know, having more. I think we had like about 10 shots on target or something. I think it was 16 shots overall, 5 were blocked. I can see people saying 1 was cleared off the line. Yeah, I think we actually thought that Leslie one went in, but it didn't. But, you know, it was all very last ditch. And I think even with the Everton game, I think us just putting the balls in the box and, you know, pressing them, that led to our first goal. And, you know, I think her name Turner put it in her own net, you know. And I think, what do you think? Has he said anything, Mark? I mean, you know more about Man United. You probably speak to him more than me. You know, I've showered him a couple of times. You know, has he said, like, what's the difference? What's changed? Oh, do you hear when you're speaking to other journalists, oh, they've really changed that? What do you think, Kathryn?
I think United just got a bit more clinical in recent weeks. I think as you were talking about that Spurs game, I remember, which upset me quite a lot. I mean, obviously I am neutral, but I'd already written my match report as a Man United win, and when that goal went in, I had to change a lot of words. It was very stressful. But yeah, I think as you say, like looking at the Villa game, taking chances is huge. You know, 5 goals against Tottenham, so many chances to make it 2-0 before they equalised. And again, Everton, I think, not going on and pressing for that second, and you know, allowing them to get back in the game, which is different. Obviously, like, you know, the Brighton game a few weeks ago, which I think United really controlled, and then once they went ahead, got that second goal, which, you know, sort of stopped Brighton getting back in the game, and that's what they kind of have to do going forward. I just think coming back a bit. I think she can really bring something, especially if she's confident, because I think she is a confidence player, which I think I've said before. You know, when she's in the mood, she can be very clinical, as we saw in the early part of her West Ham career. So hopefully that continues as well.
Vicky's just got that comment on screen. I know you've got to be careful what you say, and you might not be able to say anything just yet, but is there anything that you do want to kind of comment on, or if not, we can come back on a January show maybe when the transfer window opens. But is there any rumblings, or even are there any rumblings that you can't even talk about? But are there any rumblings at all that you've heard?
Well, I mean, I think Mark's been quite open that he's clearly looking to bring in players in January. So, I mean, I'd be very surprised if there was nothing coming in. Vicky, ask Emma Sanders. Emma Sanders is the women's football transfer guru. She's got her ear to the ground. She's like the female Fabrizio, isn't she? So ask Emma, Vicky. I'm sure she'll be able to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, keep you on the channel, and obviously I know Vicky, you'll be on this channel as well. So yeah, we will put some transfer shows out next month, definitely. Matt, let's get back to the game then. So the lineup, you know, we saw something slightly different because of Anna and Hannah both being out. What were your thoughts when you saw Galton on that left back, or did you kind of think originally it might be a 3 at the back, or did you think, okay, Leah's going to play a left back and it's kind of spoke for itself?
Do you know what? Initially, I did wonder if it was 3 at the back. We was outside Morrison's, a few of us having a chat and looking at it. I thought, actually, I wonder if we're going 3-5-2. We didn't, which didn't really matter anyway, because we got the win. But yeah, I did wonder at first, and then obviously Leah was at left back. And it's kind of, I mean, that's all we had. So to be fair, it did make sense to, you know, give it a go there whilst we'd done it last year. Obviously, she's not found much success out wide this year. Not scored as many goals. I think she got one. Birmingham, was it? I think me and Nat had this conversation on Saturday going down to Coventry. Not many assists, so it's kind of, I don't know. Obviously, she isn't a defender, but she filled in very well. She's strong. Her tackling was good. She had a solid game. Smithy as well on the other side. I think, something I said last year, she's massively improved and probably gets a lot of stick for whatever reason. I don't know. But yeah, she came in. So two fullbacks. I did wonder maybe how we would cope, but we coped very well. They didn't really sort of pose the threats that we thought they would. They were, in honesty, quite poor, Villa. And I expected a little bit more than they sort of gave in the game. But that said, I think, the lineup, and I said this to you, John, I think after, what would it be? Would have been the Brighton game or maybe the Everton. And I said sort of 5 in midfield seems to work. I've never been a fan of sort of 5 midfield and 1 up top because I think it isolates the forward. But I think what we have seen is that when we've been out of possession, 1 has sat, and it's usually been like if Lad's been playing, Lad's sat. And obviously on Wednesday it was Zellum. And it just allows the other 2 in the midfield to link up with the forward. So obviously on, yesterday, not even on Sunday. Yesterday, obviously, Risa and Tooney could sort of, link up behind Russo or Staniforth could. And I think it works well because it just provides a bit more balance in midfield. If we're outnumbering, I think they played 3 in their midfield. So it was like 5 against 3. And listen, I've said before, our midfield is the best midfield we've had in 4 years. And it should be winning us games. And it's only recently now that we've actually twigged that actually, do you know what? Now we do need 5 in midfield. This is how to do it. And I think we've grown into comeback as well. We should be looking a lot sharper and a lot better. So I think long may it continue. I just hope, I'd still like to see another forward coming in. Still think Alessia needs support because every week she's running herself into the ground. She really is a credit to the team. But yeah, I think overall, looks all right setup wise now.
Yeah, I just want to touch on Leslie, and it's something that we touched on the last show, me and John, and just what Kathryn said about Martha. And I just think when she plays Martha, that was my one concern about Martha Thomas. I thought, can she stay fit? And I think we've seen with games, haven't you? She's come in, played, come off, then we don't see her for 2 weeks. Then she's come in, played, we don't see her for 3 weeks. And I feel like this last 3 games, she's come on, played, got 2 goals. For me, I think she needs to now stay fit week in, week out. It's up to her, obviously. I'd prioritise Man United over any international football, but I do that with all the players. But I just think with as well, Leslie, I feel like when Martha Thomas came on, Leslie sort of went to the wing. And I know you're not keen on it, Matt, but I prefer Leslie driving there on the wing. I just do, because I feel like the goal that Vilda got versus Brighton came from that. Even Leslie versus Spurs, it was driving from around that 10 area on the right, and she just drove into the middle and bang. And that's why I think we're going to get the best from her. And that's everyone's viewpoint, but for me, I think I want an out-and-out 9, Martha, or as Fuck Them saying, Stina, someone like that who lives in the 18-yard box. And then Leslie is like a Rashford kind of Mason Green, cut inside, do this, do that, crosses in the box. And you just get so much more from her. I think she's wasted as trying to be that one that's just up front. I think that's my opinion, though.
Matt, can we get a compromise here? And if we had a number 9 that you'd be happy with, who's not Russo,
right? Go on.
Would you then? Because I can see why Russo is our best number 9 that we've got.
Yeah,
so I can understand why she should be playing up there. But that does make a good point in she is wasted when she's on the ball, she can do so much with it, and it's such a tough job playing a number 9 at United at the moment. If we could get a number 9 in, that we could be, we can bang in the goals as well as Russo. Would you then put Russo on the wing and play that new number 9 up top?
Absolutely not. No. This is where I disagree. No. So what I would do, if
you're not the only one, I know Emma Kerr would agree with you as well, and I know a lot of people in the comments.
I'm going to put a little thing together here, John, for you, right? I think for me, the reason why Leslie may be struggling, or why Nat sees she's struggling and maybe as not effective, is for me she's isolated, and this is what I keep saying. She's got absolutely nothing. If you look at the second press, it's nowhere near where she is. It's another 10, 12 yards, miles out the way. So that doesn't help. There's nobody in and around her. I think the next thing is, if we were getting an out-and-out number 9, John, can she not play behind? Can she not play off the number 9 or behind the number 9 rather than on the right wing? I just feel like on the right
But then
wing.
where does Tooney play? Then where does Vilda play? I mean, I get this is all the problem. Well, it's not problems.
We've got 5 midfield. Yeah, we can have Tooney behind that. So you've got your 2 up top, Lessie and new forward, Tooney in behind. We can't have Jackie Ladd, Risa, and Tooney and everybody else playing. So one of them's going to have to be dropped, either Risa or Ladd. Get Jackie in there. And then you've got your... Failing that, Tooney has been playing wide of this 5, and everybody hates that. But I think that, for me, that's better than Lessie. Tooney on one side. Whoever's going on the other, I mean, it's Stanny. I'm not a fan of that. It'll have to be Leah. 3 midfield and then two forwards. But if we're doing it as a sort of a 4-5 or a 4-4-1-1, actually, it would be.
I mean, I'm not sitting here and saying Alessia Russo is not a number 9 or not this or not that. I'm just saying.
Out and said, I don't want to be a wide player when she first signed, so you've got to take the hit.
I'm just saying, it's not like she's not. I just feel like she's not like that number 9, like your Miedema, like your Samcare, that's going to be sitting. That's all they do. I don't want to see, I don't want to see my number 9 dropping into the 8. I want them just to be on that box. I want them standing next to the goalkeeper.
Is that not because there's nobody else there? Because there's nobody with her.
But then when Martha was there, I feel like it's just different. I just feel different. What do you think, Kathryn? I mean, I'd love to hear your opinion. You've heard what me and Matt have said. So
I did quite like your idea, Natalie, of having Alessia sort of as that like Marcus Rashford kind of player. I think just because of that Tottenham game when she scored that goal, it sort of came from her coming out wide, dropping, turn of space, turn, shoot, fire into the top corner. And I think that is what she's best at. And I think I understand what Matt's saying as well. I just think you don't want to wait. You don't want her kind of chasing sort of lost causes up front with no support. If you were to have 2 there with her, and she's got that support, then I think 100% she is a natural finisher. She can definitely play the 9 as well. But I think I do think there might be something in her, maybe shifting out wide. But it depends on what the options are available. If Martha Thomas stays fit, if a new striker comes in, if Martha's not fit, if no one comes in as well, then I think probably best sticking with her as the number 9. But going forward, if obviously Mark can strengthen, which I think he's hoping to do, then I think maybe it's worth a try.
And I mean, it might be that 4-1-1, like you said, Matt. But for me, I just feel like it's hard to explain. For me, I think she's more like people are talking about intelligent runs and this kind of thing and that kind of drive. Whereas I feel like for me, a 9 is that poacher, like a Ruud van Nistelrooy kind of.
Scores goals out of nothing, doesn't she? Look at that. I mean, listen, the keeper should have saved that City one, but I'm just thinking if you had somebody alongside, even if she was right of the front 2, you've got 2 there, left and right. Put Tooney behind her, like people say in the comments, the link up's there. It's just she's got absolutely nothing to work with at the minute. And if you think,
I think it's got better than what she's working
running
with.
Down a blind alley or a lost cause. How many times did she do that wide against Villa? And that was Villa. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing.
I think there was but then I just think that when Martha came, there was that more. When Martha came off the pitch, there was that more, direct. They knew. I don't know. There was that more focal point, like I say, because Martha's not going to pull back or drop into channels, whereas I feel like Leslie drops into channels, and then when it comes on the other side, there's no one there, and so that's where I feel like I want that person to just be bang, always there, focal point, and I feel like Leslie should.
Because the thing is, the next strike you talk about is Martha Thomas, who's nowhere near good enough to start every week. So,
well, I don't know. I think she is good enough if she can stay fit.
She can't even stay fit. No.
Well, that's the problem.
Matt, jumping on this comment then. Matt, jumping on that comment about Galton playing centre forward, because potentially we've seen games this season where we come a little bit unstuck in the final third, and we just need a bit of magic, someone who can go and get past a defender. I know it's something that we've never done before, and you never choose Russo over Galton as a centre forward because that's not Galton's position, but if ever you need to do something different, Galton, could do that bit of trickery where you can kind of get out of a bit of a crowded place. you know, I wouldn't mind seeing it against maybe a lower team, see how he gets on. But it's definitely not my first choice. But Matt, do you want to kind of just give your say on that one before we move to topic?
I think not a centre forward. I think I agree where people are saying 4-3-3 because I mentioned this a few weeks ago when we were talking about what do we need to change. And obviously we've gone to 5, which is fine because we're winning. But I think if we're going to stick Galton anywhere forward, then I'd go for a narrow front three. And I'd have her on the left, Russo in the middle, and then either Hansen or Martha Thomas on the right. 3 behind of, I don't know, Tooney, Ladd and Risa, or Tooney, Ladd, Jackie, or whoever. And then your back 4. But yeah, I don't know. Interesting comment there from John Fry about Galton and Russo as a front 2. I mean, why not? I just wouldn't have a central, like literally on her own central or central if it's a front 3. I think she needs to stay left of that front 3 or left of the front 2. But
I don't think we need to do anything. Yeah, I don't think we need to do anything too bad at the moment because we just won 3 games. So that's the thing. I think that's the advantage of actually being 3 games to the gun now. It's kind of good. Just kind of just let's see how it goes. But maybe against some more tougher teams, we may need to do something a bit different. But at the moment, it's working well for us, and we're doing something completely different. We're going to move on. We're going to talk about the article that Kathryn wrote about Ella Toon. So, if you haven't seen this article, where can we find it, Kathryn?
I find it on the Mail Online website. Obviously, there for you to read. It's quite long, so maybe make a cup of tea to have while you're reading it.
No, it's good though because we don't see too many long articles, and I think sometimes as fans, some of us we do get like, well, me, this is just me, so I can't talk for anyone else. Sometimes I do get bored when there's such a big paragraph, but when it's someone that you really care about, and you hang on every word that these people say. So to read this article, there's so many different points. It's just well worth it for a United fan who likes Ella too, and you want to be reading this. Just talk to us a little bit about how the actual interview went. So ignore the actual questions and answers for the time being, Kathryn. Just how was it just actually chatting to Ella? Because obviously she must be on a high at the moment with the Lionesses and getting so many fans behind her all over the country, really, not just United fans at the moment. Just how is she as a person? How is she just this season? I'm sure she's enjoying herself.
Yeah, no, Ella's really down to earth. I was chatting to her for about half an hour, and she's quite funny. Entertaining, and yeah, you can tell she's really confident and just enjoying her football at the minute. I mean, obviously we know she's a United fan, and I think you can feel that in the way that she speaks about the club, and we were obviously talking about how she was at the RTC and then had to leave, and then obviously coming back, and how kind of appreciative she was to Casey Stoney for reaching out and bringing her back to the club, and how kind of proud she was to be part of the first Man United team and to obviously help get the club into the WSL and now be one of the key players in the team. But no, yeah, she was great to speak to, and I think obviously a very popular figure among the United fans, and you could see how much that means to her as well to kind of have that backing. I think she's got quite a lot of support from her family as well. I know her family come to quite a lot of games, and I think they were there at the England games with old Toon on the back as well. So yeah, she's obviously having a great season. So yeah, it was a great chat with her.
Yeah, Matt, do you just jump on Lanzel's comment there and just a little thought of your own there from the article that you've read, sorry?
I was going to say, I can't write to save my life, Josh. Yeah, I think Ballon d'Or, listen, I don't like putting time frames on things, so I'm not going to do that, but absolutely is what I'd say. Will be a future winner. I'm not going to say might be, I'm going to say will be. Yeah, I don't even know what more I can say. I'm still waiting for my England shirt from her that had been promised about 5 years ago. But yeah, no, I think just, like Kathryn said, down to earth, has come back, obviously now has, a chance to inspire sort of the next generation. You think of when she was in the RTC, she left and there was nowhere to go. And it was a little bit like, disappointing. And I know sort of our guest tomorrow spoke to us, John. We sort of chatted pre-show and post-show, and she said, her work rate is phenomenal. And, listen, well, most people knew this, but I think it's just that desire to succeed. And, again, Kathryn said about a family going, her dad never misses a game. The only ones who did miss were obviously lockdown, and, he's he's been everywhere as far as Jordan for the World Cup back in 2016. So yeah, I think it's one of them. I think with the right support network around you, the willingness to work and succeed, doesn't let many things phase her. She's gone away with England's senior team. She's gone in there. She's pretty much ran the show in most of the games. So yeah, pleasing to see, and I think just long may it continue. I know Nat's ready to.
Yeah, I just want to talk about Tooney because just what Kathryn's saying about Tooney, and she's funny, and she's this, and she's that, and she's confident, and I just think back to that very, 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 very first Villa game, and she was like, "Who the hell? She was like, "Who the hell are those people there standing? What are they doing? They're singing and shouting. Look at that crazy lady. I don't know where." And I remember she was not scared. I wouldn't say she was scared, but it took a while in it for her to come over and be like this. Now I see her and I'm like, "Who are you?" Because I don't remember you. I remember you being shy and nervous, and and now I remember I said to her one time, I think it must have been the season of lockdown, and I went, "Oh yeah, you're the, I don't even know what I said," but she went, "I'm not this, I'm an experienced player," and she got really angry at me because I was like, "Oh yeah, you're one of the young ones. Oh, I'm not." But now that's what she is, isn't she? Really, yeah. She's the experienced one, and I know people have talked about Niamh Murphy, and she's a fullback, and she's playing in the development team. And I look at Carrie Jones, and I said, the minute I saw Carrie Jones, said Tooney 2.0, and that's it now, isn't it? I think that's what we're going to see now. People are going to be saying, "Oh, this one, she plays like Millie," or "This one, they plays like Katie," or "This one is like this." And it's good now that I think when we first came in, we didn't really have a lot of women's, when a lot of our fan base came in, we were like, "Oh, it's like Tooney's like this one," like from the men's. Whereas now we're seeing the development team, I suppose, coming through. Like I said, Carrie Jones, Tara Bourne, Niamh Murphy, and we're saying, "Oh, Tara, she's like Katie, she can spray the balls, this and that," and Carrie, the way she non-stop running down the middle, pulling out wide, it's like Tooney, and Niamh, like Honor, that kind of thing. And we're comparing it all back to the women's team now. And I think, like we say in RTC, the pathway is clearer and clearer as the time goes on. It's getting clearer and clearer. And for me, it's about building around your RTC girls, your Tooneys, Millies. I know Leslie didn't come from the RTC, but people who are like fans of the club because it matters, and they know how much it means to us, and vice versa, kind of thing.
I just want to bring Kathryn back in again, just on. Do you think that Tooney actually knows how good she is? Because we've seen her from like 2018, 2019, and to us, we've seen her grow. But on the flip side, we still think of her as like one of our own, who's from a youngster who's coming into her own now. But I think Emma Hayes was supposedly interested in her. I'm sure a lot of European teams, top teams, was interested in her as well. I don't know if Ella actually knows how good she is or not, because she just doesn't come across as big-headed. It never comes up in conversation. I just want kind of interested in your thoughts. When you're talking to her, did it ever come out like that she could potentially be a real superstar in the next few years? She's a superstar in our eyes anyway, but what's your thoughts on that one?
I think you can tell she's confident in terms of the way she comes across when she speaks and the way she plays. But I kind of agree with that. I don't think she probably realizes just how much potential she has to be even better. I think she's only 22, and she's already playing week in, week out at a high level at one of the biggest clubs, and playing for England, and is probably going to be in that Euro squad, and probably going to be starting matches as well. At such a young age, she's only going to get better. And I think she's still very humble. So I think she's got good people around her, though. She's got Mark Skinner's probably the perfect manager at the minute, because he's going to be someone that is constantly wanting more from her as well, and challenging her, and putting those demands on her and giving her that responsibility as well. It's probably what she needs. I think you can tell, she's confident. She said as much, she feels confident at the minute. And that's a big part of it. But she's definitely got potential to, as we say, go on to be even better than she is at the minute.
Well, she scored so many goals, she's assisted, and even if she just had half of that, the fans would still be loving her. So the fact that she's scoring so many as well, and she's got them stats there, it's really great to see. Was there any other key highlights in that article that you wrote that you want to talk about at all, Kathryn?
What was interesting to me was that she played so many different sports when she was growing up. She was obviously a keen swimmer. I think she said half her family were sort of swimmers and water polo players, and obviously her mum was a gymnast. And she said she had quite a few trophies from when she did gymnastics, but wasn't a fan of the splits at all. And also, she said she would maybe go back to swimming after football, but said her eyelashes sometimes fall out when she's swimming, so that was a downside of that. But I think also she said, I think she played tennis as well at school, and she said sort of playing all those sports kind of made her give her that kind of competitiveness and that, you know, winning drive, hated losing. You can tell that when she's on the pitch as well. Even kind of sometimes I think people don't always realise they think about the goals and the technical ability. She's not afraid of putting a tackle in. She's not afraid of giving it to the ref or the liner as well. She's not afraid of standing up for herself, which is great. You need that side in your game as well, because you know, when you're a player like Ellie, you're going to get people kicking you. You're going to get people coming through the back of you and trying to unsettle you. And I think having that kind of competitive edge, she would never let anything like that kind of put her off a game. She'd never kind of pull out of a tackle or anything like that. So, that was obviously another highlight of it as well.
Matt, do you want to jump on that comment, on that comment that Kathryn made, sorry, and then obviously Nat come in?
Yeah, no, listen, it's spot on. I think, you know, you're talking about doing other sports, and God, she's going to kill me. But I remember Toonie having a massive meltdown in tennis over losing. Like, she was fuming. We took her, I think, she must have been playing tennis about 4 months, and we took her to a national championships. We won it the first year. Got to the final in the second year, and she lost in the final. And my days, she was fuming. And when I say fuming, John, yeah, just hates. I mean, it was good because, like, from my point of view, you knew she was not happy with losing, and it was about winning. And you know, she was spot on. I think the other kids were kind of like, "Oh, it don't matter and all." But listen, she was not happy. But every after school club Toonie would be at, anything where it would help her, you know, she'd do it. And you know, something as simple as a footwork in tennis, you can take that into your football. You know, there's so many things in sports where you can sort of transfer your skills, and you know, it 100% it has done her, you know, the world of good. You know, she's very good at her racket sports, tennis, table tennis, everything, badminton. And you know, like I say, just little things where you can take it into football. Obviously, football was always a number one, and she was running rings around other school teams. And I know she'd be involved in boys' teams of school, because obviously I don't think there was any girls' teams at the time, not in a school setting anyway. But yeah, listen, whatever you could throw at Toonie, she would do it. You know, she went and done a sports leadership course and was like coaching sort of younger kids. So just having that background, and obviously her parents have helped massively, and you know, dead supportive of her, even for doing sports, like I say, that weren't football. You know, they would push it and be like, no, you're doing it, you're going to build these skills, you're going to build these relationships. And I think that's what, you know, gets her where she is now. And like that just desire and willingness to win, and never be satisfied with just taking part. You know, you go there to win, you go there to compete. And listen, she's got a room full of medals, and that's without football, you know. So it just goes to show that, yeah, it can literally, with the right attitude and the willingness to win, it will take you anywhere.
I just want to come on a point separate from still about the interview, Kathryn. Just, she talked about the ambition, the club's ambition, her ambition, and she said it when she signed, and obviously she said it again to you. But you know, a lot of people were talking down Man United at the start of the season, saying obviously, you know, the ambitions aren't there for Man United. But I do think that her signing that new deal is really sort of, it's like I made a statement. Like I said, I'm waiting on the rest now. Millie, Leslie, Honor, Jackie. But it's a statement, I suppose, anyway, even if whatever happens, you know, that Ella Toon sort of, I think Asif did an article and it said she's the most marketable player now out of the whole Lionesses. And I'm not saying that because she's young and she's there coming through and playing at Man United. We all know about Man United, you know, so she's got one of the most marketable next to Frank Kirby. So obviously it's not all about all that, but, you know, just what did she say about, I suppose, the club ambitions? Because that's what a lot of fans were worried about, and we're seeing Toonie sign it and saying it matches. So there must be some ambition there. What did she say to you?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, I think the ambition is to win trophies. She mentioned that, she wants to lift silverware, and obviously play in the Champions League is the other massive one. And I think once you get to that point, once you qualify for the Champions League, it brings, that kind of, it's easy to attract players from other clubs when you're in Europe. And obviously that was one of the big things that she said. And I don't think you can ever say a Man United team lacks ambition. I don't think that was necessarily the issues. I think it was a case of are they going to kind of commit as much as maybe your Arsenal's, your Chelsea's, your Man City's, and I think that belief and that ambition is there. It's just a case of operating in the right way, and I think that sometimes you have to remember that United as a club are still new to the women's game and are still new to how it doesn't operate in the same way as the men's games. It's you can't just kind of attract players because you're Man United. You can to a certain extent, but you have to, especially in the women's game, you have to have that kind of to a certain extent to attract some players. You have to be in the Champions League starters, and you have to kind of have that financial backing as well. And I think we saw kind of Mark speak about it after the Arsenal game that he needs that backing. And I think hopefully next month or so we might see that. But clearly, I think the right things have been said to Ella, because a player of her talent, as much as she loves Man United, she wants to play in the top competitions. And if she didn't believe she could get there with United, she probably wouldn't have signed that contract. So I think that kind of hopefully signals that ambition is there.
I'm seeing a lot of people, and just what you just said, Kathryn, it's made me think, and I'm seeing a lot of questions people saying about, and that's something, the women's director of football, I think that's big. I know we have a general manager, but there's a lot of criticism about him on after what happened last season. This new director of football is someone new coming in. I know Emma Sanders, like you said, she's tweeted out it could be someone who's not even involved in football, but for me I think it has to be someone who's women's football involvement. But they just said they're definitely going for someone experienced. Have you heard of any names, or have you heard same as Emma, like they're going for a proper experienced head?
Yes, yeah, similar to what sort of Emma was saying. It's the intonation is that experience, someone that's kind of got that pedigree. But interestingly, when I was actually speaking to Ella when she was talking about Casey Stoney, in terms of not quite the same, but having her as a manager really helped, because she played women's football before. She understood, so many things that people that haven't played in women's football necessarily don't. Obviously, Markson has got that backing in women's football, so he'll understand kind of, how it works. But comparing it to someone like maybe Gareth Taylor, who at Man City, who'd never kind of had that experience of women's football, maybe didn't know kind of the certain struggles or stuff like that. She said Casey kind of just got things. And in terms of the director of football, I think that's really key. I think they have to understand the women's game, and they have to kind of just have that kind of understanding that maybe some people that haven't been experienced the women's game, haven't worked in it, wouldn't necessarily have, if that makes sense. Someone who appreciates kind of how things work and how best to go about things.
Just before we move on to the Conti Cup draw that's just been announced about an hour ago, and a couple of other things as well. I've got a statement on the thumbnail about Skinner's tactics coming to fruition. I just want to go around the table a little bit. Are we kind of jumping the gun a little bit here, because we're all very happy at the moment? We've won 3 on the trot. It's 9 goals, 3 clean sheets. It's the best that we've played all season. I was very much one way where, when it was all doom and gloom, I was trying to defend where we can. But now, maybe just flip it the other way. Are we getting a bit too excited too early? I mean, that's a question that's out there on Twitter. I don't think we are. I think we need to be happy when we're winning. That's the whole point. When you win 5-0, of course you're going to celebrate it. But Nat, to start off with yourself, and then we'll just go around. What are your thoughts?
I saw tweets, but these are always going to be like people like this. Oh, fans are fickle. Yep, I'll just sit here and admit I'm a fickle person. I was very, very, very angry after Leicester. I think that was one of the worst performances I've seen from a Man United team. You know, I allowed Chelsea because I thought, you know, Chelsea are very, very good. But, you know, sort of his reaction to it is what made it worse. Oh, it's only six. No, that's kind of, you're not going to win fans around if you're saying things like that. And I think, you know, I think he was saying a lot of things after the Spurs game that didn't really make sense. And I think, you know, I mean, you know, Kathryn, she's not even a United fan. She was saying she was gutted, and him to just sort of say, oh, well, it doesn't matter. And if there's no, you know, I think he's sort of maybe cottoned on, like, you can't be just saying throwaway statements because it's gonna make people mad and angry, and whether he means it, it doesn't matter. You can't sort of say what half the stuff he's been saying. But I think he's come around. I think he understands a bit better. And I think people just need to be happy because, yes, it's Villa. Yes, you know, Everton are in a bad patch. Yes, before we played Brighton, they had lost a few games. But this is some of the best football. So even though, you know, it's not maybe the best teams, not Chelsea, Arsenal we're beating, you know, you have to be happy because if you're not happy when you're winning as a fan, you know, what you're doing it for. So I think there's a lot of people who just don't like Skinner potentially. And they just think he's not good enough at all. So they're always going to say, well, this was wrong, that was wrong, that was wrong. I wasn't keen on Skinner, but he's won me round, especially after that Leicester game, because I thought that was atrocious. But, you know, it's not a case of I'm happy and that's it, I'm popping the champagne now. It's I'm happy, we're going into Christmas, let's rest up. But we need to be ready for January because I think West Ham is going to be the biggest game. And I think that if we come back kind of the way that we've come back on breaks, because Leicester was after an international break. I think that even under Casey, we didn't come back from breaks well enough. I think we came back early. We did this, but whether it's a mental thing, I don't think we come back from these breaks. You know, I don't know, but we always come back and it seems to be tough. And then we have to play our way into it. You can't afford to play your way in. You know, you have to be winning from the off. We're chasing now. I think I prefer that. I was saying to a few people, I think when we chase, we're better. I think when we were sitting on top, that pressure was even greater, you know, because we were thinking we could win it here. And I think it's that worst feeling dropping down. I think if we're chasing to go forward and we finish third, we'll be happy. But I think if we're sort of looking up and we're thinking these teams are good, you know, these teams are good below us. You know, City are even chasing us, you know. So I think we're in a better spot than a lot of teams. I mean, I saw some people saying, if you had to say this week, I think it was Mia, who's been on the show a lot, you know, Man United, if you looked at all the teams in the WSL, I know, like, you know, a lot of teams have had COVID and had teams called off. But, you know, look at Chelsea's form. They lost to Reading. They drew against Juventus, and then they lost to Wolfsburg. I know they're better teams than what we've played, but I take our form going into the break rather than theirs. Yes, everyone's got COVID, and, you know, for me, that's not even an excuse. And I know Emma Hayes used it as an excuse, but for me, that's not an excuse for any team. But it's by the by, it's the break now. Who comes back better? And, yeah, I agree with Norman. That's all I have to say now.
I think just to follow on from that, John, for me, I think in terms of like his tactics and formations and style of play, obviously a lot's been said in it. I think I'd probably say we're 70% there now. You know, I'm not going to put it any higher. I still think, you know, like Nat said, we've got West Ham in January. We've got 3 weeks off. You know, we've got fitness. There's COVID flying about. It's how we sort of react in the next part of the season. Because, listen, the last 3 years, January onwards has been our downfall. So, listen, whilst it's working, it's great. The challenge Mark's got now is, one, keeping everybody fit. And two, you know, if we have a game where it doesn't work, let's say West Ham have a bit of a mare and we come away with a draw and what we've done previously hasn't worked, you know, how do we react to where do we go? Do we change it up again? You know, and I'm saying 70% because obviously me and Nat had the sort of debate earlier, you know, for Russo, does she go wide, you know? Could we play somebody else there? Do we get a forward? I think that could be the plan B. It's just when do we find it out? So I think, listen, tactics now, I think he's happy with what we've got. Fans are a little bit happier now because it's 3 wins on the bounce, 3 clean sheets, 9 goals. It's just about the word consistency now and finding that way to win. And listen, Mark talked about it. He just took a while to do it. It's taken until December, but we've got there. So I think for me now, 70% there. what comes next. And obviously, you know, we've just chucked up a little debate tonight. You know, could we play a 3 behind a 2? Perhaps I said a 1-1 or a 4-4-2. Could we go, you know, a 4-1-3-2? And maybe Russo goes right of the 3, similar to what Nat was saying with Rashford, and they've got your front 2. Who knows? But yeah, I think for me, tactically now, we're looking a little bit better. It's just about being flexible now, depending on your opposition, and changing about when we need to, and then see where we end up. But I think, listen, we're happier, and I think back, you know, I know we talked about them 2 games early, but if we'd have beat Spurs and beat Everton, we're looking at second place, a point behind Chelsea. That's actually where we'd be on 24 points. So obviously we can't look back now, but I still think for me now, third is up there, as long as we don't have an absolute disaster from Jan onwards, basically.
Yeah, Kathryn, let's talk about like the other 2 games then. So the last WSL weekend of the calendar year. So 2 other games, only 2 games. First of all, what are your thoughts on that first? The fact that only 3 games out of the 6 went ahead. And then the secondly, just what are your thoughts on the actual results?
Yeah, I wasn't surprised about Chelsea West Ham with what Emma Hayes was saying. Obviously, they'd had 2 positive cases before they went to Germany, and they were expecting more when they came back. And I think West Ham had a few issues. I think it was mainly down to Chelsea. Brighton Arsenal was quite a late one on the Saturday. It was issue in the Brighton camp, I think, over a few positive tests and a few players being close contacts. I think Arsenal were fine. So. Yeah, and then obviously I was at Leicester Birmingham, which was the relegation battle. Very impressed with Leicester in terms of the way they performed, and you know, both clubs got a new manager. Birmingham were a little bit disappointing, and I thought maybe they would have been a little bit tougher to break down. The first Leicester goal kind of came from a long break in play where Louise Quinn had been down with an injury, and then Leicester went up the other end and scored shortly after that, and then scored from a set piece. So obviously Leicester, huge result for them after we were sort of waiting for them to get their first point. And I think they've been unlucky at times this season with conceding a few late goals, and kept Chelsea out for 80 minutes earlier in the season. So obviously Birmingham were unlucky the week before not to pick up anything against Man City. So I think there's still a long way to go in terms of the relegation, but psychologically for Leicester, that was a massive win. And then obviously Tottenham beating Everton, which is a strange one for you guys because obviously you kind of want Tottenham to drop points, but I know you probably not keen on Everton picking up many either. But I think Everton are finding it tough. Obviously Jean-Luc Fassé's come in, maybe hasn't quite got off to the start he probably wanted. I think he'll definitely be looking to use the January window as much as he can. I think you can tell he's kind of like, this isn't maybe his squad. It's obviously Willie Kirk's squad, so he's kind of trying to probably change the way they play, and obviously that's going to take time. Whereas obviously Tottenham very much know the style they're playing. Obviously a narrow win, but like it was a narrow win against Aston Villa the week before. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how obviously Everton kind of go about their transfer window, because I think, as I say, I think Jean-Luc is quite keen to bring some of his own players in.
I just want to, I suppose, as a neutral in all these games now, Kathryn, ask you a question because a lot of teams were hyped up beyond belief. Not by you guys, but I suppose fans, you know, WSL fans were hyping up Leicester because of all their facilities and everything they're doing. Hyping up Everton, obviously all the signings they made, and then obviously Willie Kirk just before the City game said, you know, these players are coming and they want to win the league, and I was sitting there thinking, okay, and like you say, I saw Everton, and when we played them, they've gone backwards. I mean, they're very good players. I'm sorry. They're very good players, and I always thought that Anna Alfregard was a very good player, and I think that she had a little chance towards the end. So I think she's a very good player. I don't think they're getting the best at them. I felt like, and this is with Leicester as well, they just bought players without thinking it through, maybe. Willie Kirk especially just bought that Benison and bought these girls, and it's like, you don't really... Did you really need her? Or is it just a case of buying her and she's, you know, big name, expect a lot of her? Whereas I feel like someone like Brighton, Spurs, West Ham, they bought players where they needed them fitted in nicely. I know you talked about Kaya Simon, and we talked about her on, when she got a goal the other day against Villa. But it's like they've just gone about the business quietly, and they're the ones that are at the top, whereas the hyped ones haven't really lived up to expectations. So just your thoughts, and I suppose Matt as well on that.
Yeah, I think. I think maybe Leicester and Everton kind of maybe weren't sure what systems they wanted to play, and as you say, sort of brought players in without having that kind of nailed down. Whereas Tottenham's, West Ham's, kind of knew what they wanted to do, knew the positions they needed to fill. And I think that is, you kind of have to know what style of football you're going to play first, what formation you're going to play, rather than just get the players and then go, right, what are we going to play? I do think Leicester should have won by more than 2-0 yesterday. Obviously, I know former United player Jess Diggs have had a couple of chances, and I think I read something the other day that she's kind of got the most expected goals or something, which I'm not really sure if that's a good stat or not, because it means she should have scored more. But she's obviously getting in the right positions, and I think Lydia Bedford I think you could tell yesterday she kind of has a style that she wants to play. Which maybe they kind of got lost a bit last, because obviously they've come up from the Championship where they've gone and been dominating teams, and now obviously they don't want to probably be defensive, but I think coming up a division you can't sort of expect it's going to be Chinese players and we're going to be sort of mid-table. I think most teams that have come up, apart from obviously United where the situation was quite different, Villa found it when they came up, even Brighton found it when they came up a few years ago. You have to kind of sort of accept that you're not going to dominate the ball and maybe be a little bit more defensive. And yeah, as I was saying, I think maybe Everton, Leicester weren't sure what styles they were going to play and just sort of bought without planning that in advance. I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe they had an idea and it's not worked, but that's kind of how it looks from the outside.
No, I'd agree. Just to jump in, John, I think in terms of Leicester, and me and Nat had a chat again on the way down to Coventry, and I think it was more recruitment of names than actually the style, because obviously in the Championship they dominated and they were dead attacking. They came up to the WSL and the amount of times they've sat back and just looked to sort of hit on the counter, which hasn't worked, has been just unreal. And I think you look at their squad and I think the average age is like 23, 24. And you think, well, who's actually come in that's made a difference? And you can argue the same for Everton, whereas you look at Tottenham, and I want to link this into recruitment, and obviously something that Reece Land said on Thursday. He was on about sort of going out for players that are proven and they know what they're doing and they've played in this league versus looking abroad. And I think if you look at Tottenham, the way they recruited, yes, they went young with Asmita Rail, but the likes of Molly Bartrip didn't get games at Reading, but a quality player, has played in the league for many years and she's helped steady that back line with Zadorsky. You look again, obviously Kia Simon came from abroad, but Rachel Williams, again, people like that, people that have got the know-how and have played in this league for a while, and it's worked wonders. And you look at sort of Everton and they've chucked together a load of people from abroad. It's going to take time. Natalie said backwards. I think he's in a similar position to Skinner in a way. It's going to take time. They've got a different way of playing. Both not got their own signings, but I do agree. I don't think they were great on Wednesday, and obviously they've lost again against Spurs, and I think they're down in 9th now. And I just don't think recruitment-wise it's worked for the likes of Leicester, the likes of Everton. I mean, to an extent, you could say Villa, but I think for me, Villa have recruited a lot better than sort of, the likes of those two clubs. So January is going to be interesting for me, but I think you've got to, like Kathryn said, you've got to have a style of play. And I think Leicester must be on about the 5th formation of the season. Every time I've watched them now, they keep chopping and changing. It's not good for consistency. We've still got right backs up front. We've still got centre halves in centre mid and centre halves on the left wing, and it's crazy, but they did deserve that win. They've got that win. I fully expect them to kick on now. They've got an easier couple of months before a tough run in, so let's see what happens.
I just want to touch again and just I think this is no slight on anyone. I think this is what happens I think women's football was so desperate to see investment, and I mean, I don't know if anyone agrees or disagrees coming, but so desperate to see investment, so desperate to see money, transfer fees. So when Everton are spending 6 figures on a player, and when Leicester is throwing all this money at this and that, and it's just people forget it's about the way that you do it. I suppose if you do it a bit more shrewdly and maybe getting a few free signings, but you have that style, it can work better. I think people just feel with the level of money, and you know, it works both ways. You know, you can have loads of money, but have not a lot of money and still get it wrong. You know, but I just do feel that, like in the women's game, well, they're the ones we're backing now because they've spent loads of money. So I really like them. I mean, I don't know what everyone thinks, but I just feel like I think it's getting like the men's. We need to be a bit more critical of things instead of just being like they're investing, so they're going to be good. No, it's not always the case.
Yeah, do you want to just jump on that, Kathryn, before we move on to the Conti Cup draw? Just it's a good point by Natalie. As soon as someone invests, we think, oh, brilliant, they're investing, they're going to do well. What do you think of that?
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think when I was thinking about the Leicester game yesterday, and I was thinking these are two teams. I mean, realistically, unless Villa really could do collapse, which I don't see happening, it is going to be one of those teams that go down. And I was just writing a report. I said Leicester are the team with potential. They've got owners that want to invest. They've got the backing. They've got the facilities. They've got a great training setup. They've got, you know, some really quality players. Whereas obviously at Birmingham, we know the struggles they've had, but they've got in obviously Marcus Bignett as assistant. He's been there and done it. He's helped keep Villa up last season. He's been in the women's game before. Obviously, Darren Carter's maybe got less experience, but he's working alongside him. And Leicester can have all this potential and have all of these, you know, investment. It'll mean nothing if they can't get the results, if they don't get over the line. Whereas I think maybe this is where I still think, obviously Birmingham lost yesterday, but where they could still have the advantages, I can see them grinding out more results than I could see maybe Leicester doing. I could see Birmingham going somewhere away from home and picking up a 0-0. Maybe, you know, getting a draw at somewhere like Reading. Maybe, you say they were close to getting something against City the week before. So, while we might look at Leicester and think, you know, there's so much potential there, they have to get the results. They have to get over the line, and they have to go through that difficult period that clubs do when they come up for the Championship. And yeah, maybe I think quite a few people are excited about Everton, but as we've said, you have to have that direction, and you know, sometimes throwing money at it doesn't work.
I know Karen Carney said, "Oh, Everton dark horses to win the league." So she's the Sky's #1 pundit. So, you know, needs to be more thought about what they say. But that's just my opinion.
But it's like you said, Nat, though, it's just the way you recruit, isn't it, as well? It's all well and I mean, look at Valerie Govan. What's she done for 6-7 months? You know, I'm not being funny. 100 grand. You know, you could have got two better players for that actually do. So, like you say, you can chuck all the money in the world at it, but if your players aren't performing and not gelling, you know, everybody's hyping that Italian at Everton. I don't think she's done anything at all.
She hasn't.
Garley,
yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Darley's
know.
been good, but Darley had that experience from West Ham.
No, Garley.
Yeah. But then Darley has been good. Yeah. That's what I will say.
She's been the best player for me, but again, it's like, you know, you chucking load of money at it if you don't recruit wisely. And same for Leicester. You know, there's players there I look at and I think, why have you bothered? You know, what was the point? And I know it sounds horrible, but again, it just goes to show that you don't recruit wisely, you can have all the money in the world and do absolutely nothing. So anyway,
I think even West Ham did it. Sorry, just to jump in, West Ham last couple of seasons under Matt Beard maybe kind of didn't get their recruitment right and were quite keen to invest after making the cup final, and obviously sort of didn't work out for them and have maybe changed their approach slightly.
And yeah, that's a good point on screen as well, because we've seen it with Man United players. You know, it might take until their second season to get the best out of them. The show has kind of went over, so we'll just be very quick. If you haven't seen, the Conti Cup draw has been announced. United have got Arsenal away. Of course they have. It's never easy. We can never play the youngsters, can we? We can never play the fringe players, or maybe we will. It's on the 19th and 20th of Jan. So it's a week before I've got a week off. It had to be. It could have been the week after when I've got a week off, but never mind. We'll still probably get around to watching that one. West Ham, Chelsea, Spurs against Liverpool, and then either Charlton, Leicester, and City against Bristol. So of course City have got the home advantage.
Draw, yeah.
You can write it, couldn't you? That's go on.
But what I will say is they gave us Bridgewater, and I've just seen a tweet that Bridgewater have just put out, and they're looking at expanding their stadium. Their stadium holds 2.5k, so they're anticipating a record sellout. So obviously they're giving us that, the FA. So of course they're going to give us Arsenal away, Chelsea away, something like that. Surprised it's not City, you know. I'm sure even Kathryn knows. Casey used to complain, all the time because it was always Man United, Man City, Man United, Man City, Man United, Man City. I thought they would have given us Liverpool because that would have been tasty. But they're making it nice for people like Kathryn, so she can easily go down. But no, I'm only joking. Liverpool would have been. I think that's the one that we all wanted, didn't we? Because not just because they're in the Championship, just because it's Man United, Liverpool. I think that would have been amazing. But for me, it sounds really weird. I know talks about this and that, and we're not fully there, and how we can respond. But I'm confident going into Arsenal. I think they play. Someone said they play Reading away, then they play Reading at home, then us, then City away. So obviously they're going to be looking at that City away match as a big match. They want to extend their lead on Chelsea. For me, I think they will play their kids, and I think it won't be our kids, but if the team that played versus, Stanley, Katie, Bo Risa, maybe, play Carrie. I'd like to see Carrie because she did do really well coming on against Arsenal. So she played really well versus City. So why can't she continue to play? Why can't Fuso continue to play? And, for me, I think, why not? Hopefully he'll have new players in as well. Give them minutes in a game like that. But for me, I don't see why, for me, we lost 2-0. I think there was moments in that game. Like I said, Carrie came on in that WSL game and she could have scored straight away. There was a chance. Zellum hit it at the keeper. If we had gone 2-1, Zellum put it either side, that's a game on for me. And, I think as Tooney has said, as other people, we're always at home. We know we're going to travel down. I'm thinking about how I'm going to get out of work to travel down. We love it behind that goal. That last time we played them was when we were in the Championship at Boreham Wood. So I'm excited. Hopefully fans can go. For me, it's going to be rocking, and I'm looking forward. That is the best ground because you're so close. You can, like Everton, like I said, it's even closer than Everton. You can breathe on them. I remember last time we were there. God, what was her name? The Swedish keeper. I know I'm waffling on now, but the Swedish keeper, she was proper shook up when we scored, and we nearly fall on the pitch and this and that, and everything's flying. So let's get in amongst them. I'm happy, man.
I'm glad you're happy, Nat, because I'm not. I wanted a home draw. Look, it's fine. We've got Arsenal. It's not a problem, but at least give us a home draw. But I think the thing is, it was
we're always at home.
Well, good. So it should be. It's not practical. No, I just think, well, first of all, it is a shame that it's not on a weekend, midweek, which ain't great. But I think, you know what it's like? I think there's a couple of Chelsea fans I speak to, and I'm sure Sang in the comments will testify. It's usually Chelsea versus Man City. So for me, like you, Nat, I wasn't expecting City or Chelsea. I didn't think we'd actually get Arsenal. I was thinking more along the lines of sort of, Liverpool or the winner of Leicester and / Charlton and everybody else, Man City. But it is what it is. We'll have to go there, and it's the quarterfinals. See what we've got. Obviously, there's busy fixtures in January as well. Chucking in FA Cup, chucking in League. So somebody mentioned new signings. Maybe if we borrow a few off Barcelona and go at it that way and take a little bit of inspiration from their Champions League win, and then we can send them back. No, I'm only kidding. But yeah, it'd be an interesting game. I think it'd be interesting to see what Mark's learnt from the home game and how we're gonna keep the same formation now as we've been playing in the league. Are we going to change it up? Are we going to look to attack them a little bit more? We're going to keep it tight and then hit them on the counter. Who knows? But I think those Champions League performances have shown that they can be got at and they can be beaten. Obviously, we don't have the same quality of squad overall, but I think, listen, we've got to go at it and give it a bash and see what we get.
I just want to finish on yourself then, Kathryn, your thoughts on those 4 fixtures, and can you see, would it be an upset if United were Arsenal? Because it is a cup after all, so what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think we've seen Arsenal haven't been at the level they were at the start of the season. Obviously, they started so strongly. Defensively, in recent weeks, they've been vulnerable, especially without Leah Williamson. She may or may not be back. Obviously, the break might help them. But as Nat was saying, I think there's no reason why United can't go in there and be confident of getting a result. I think the Spurs-Liverpool game could be quite interesting as well. Obviously, Vicky Jepson is coach at Tottenham now, used to be Liverpool manager. Liverpool doing very well in the Championship. How bothered are Tottenham going to be about the Continental Cup? It's all about whether teams prioritise it or not. And, I think Merck probably knows that, if Arsenal this might not be, and it's an important trophy for Arsenal. They're still in the Champions League. They're going for the league. United obviously want to win a trophy. So, I think there's no reason why you shouldn't go all out for it. And obviously, you guys want to be in the final at Plough Lane, which is just down the road from me. So
yeah, you're sorting out the pub, Kathryn. If we are,
I am. Yeah, I am.
Yeah. No, I just want to say I hope, Kathryn, if you can have some influence on it, think about the fans. If they could just make it an 8 o'clock kickoff or 7:45. Think about us. Just, I know they'll probably do it at 7. Hopefully, no earlier. But just think and just. Even 7:30 would be good because then I could get out of work and I could blag it easier. But yeah.
And another thing, we need some finals up north. I'm sick of them being all down there as well. Even in the Midlands, somewhere where it's decent and we don't just have to mooch all the way down south every year. Always down there. That's my moaning done. Yeah. Go on, John.
Yeah, no, that's the end of the show. Cracking show. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Matt, you've got a good show going out tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Do you just want to quickly give the guys a bit of a taster on that one?
Yeah, former Man United RTC graduate, now playing for Lewis in the Championship. We won't talk about who she went to after United. It was down the road anyway. But yeah, really, really good show. Talked a little bit of everything. Obviously, Man United, and sort of went into how she got scouted, sort of the process behind that. Obviously, after leaving the RTC, like I say, a year down the road and then out in America. Absolutely smashed it in America, did really well. Came back, has gone to Lewis. And yeah, we had a really good chat just about Lewis, everything to do for women's football, the equality, the fact that they've given her a job as well. So obviously she plays for the club, but she's actually been able to use a degree and does stuff sort of in the community as well. Yeah, really, really good chat. Obviously chatted player of the month. Talked about knocking on managers' doors and demanding a starting space, which I've never actually sort of heard a player come out and say, oh yeah, I told the manager I was good enough, and then come out and it actually worked well, scored in 4 goals and won player of the month. So yeah, honestly, quality chat. But like I say, knows a lot of our players still. Big Man United fan, which always helps. So yeah, jump on that 7 o'clock tomorrow. And yeah, you'll enjoy it.
And we've probably got the best week of guests that we've ever had, haven't we? Obviously tonight with Kathryn. Thank you, Kathryn. And tomorrow, as you said, Matt, former United. Lucy. And on Thursday, who we got on that?
Well, back again by popular demand, Reese Land. And obviously he's been asked to be joined by a few journalists. Rich Laverty's coming on and Molly Hudson. So I think on that show, we're just going to be basically talking about as a whole. So how have we thought about Skinner? I know Rich is a big advocate of Skinner, loves him. I was very, very unconvinced at points. And then obviously I said to him at the end, after Villa, come on and we'll hash it all out. So that's what we're going to do. I'm definitely going to talk as well about, because me and Molly had a little hoo-ha, but we're all good friends, but about, Emma Hayes coming out with the COVID thing. I think it's right now that it's done. I know they came back and landed, but, is it right to be saying that as an excuse? Well, let's see. We'll talk about that. And we'll just talk about the Championship, who's going to go where, what do we see for the rest of the season. So definitely check out Thursday. A lot of talking points. I think it might go on a bit like this one, but, be a lot of shouting between me and Rich and Reese, and I'm sure Molly will have a few points that I'll disagree with as well. So, yeah, we'll definitely come and check out the next 2 shows, and then obviously Christmas.
Yeah, we've got a few fans on, so a few of the fans that you're used to seeing over the past year, we're all doing something slightly different there. So yeah, we've got plenty to be getting on with over Friday and Saturday. But yeah, we're going to shoot off now. Thank you to everybody in the comments. Thank you again, Kathryn. If you don't see us again, have a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you soon. Cheers, guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys. See ya.